In this chapter, we're going to look at the process of creating music and sound to a movie. It's a little movie that I created. There's not much of a plot to it, and when you see it, you'll understand why I'm an audio guy and not a motion graphics artist. It's enough of a movie to demonstrate the process and put some of the skills we learned earlier to work. Now, you might think that because Pro Tools gave us templates for songwriter and music, that in one of those, or maybe in this miscellaneous, there's a score a movie template. No such thing. That's fine. We'll just not create from a template. We'll call this importing a movie. And because I'm using video, I'll set my file type for broadcast wave. That's kind of a convention. Another convention with video is to use a sample rate of 48K. I say convention, it's a best practice. It's an agreement that when we're working with video, we all use the same sample rate of 48K. What will happen if you use 44.1 is that your files will play back at the wrong speed. We just kind of made an agreement, a universal handshake that when we're doing video, we use a sample rate of 48K. So I'll save this session, I'll put it on the desktop, and there's our session window. Importing the video uses the same file menu and import, and it's right there next to audio and MIDI. There's video. In the Mac world, we call this the big three. Shift Command Option. So in this case, it's Shift Command Option I. On a PC, it's going to be Shift Alt Control I. Now remember that lovely window when we imported audio, we got to take a look at the file, see how big it was, how many channels it was. We could even audition it and scrub it. No such luck with video. The best thing Pro Tools does for us is to gray out everything that isn't a movie. So it makes it pretty obvious to see where your movie is. So let's go ahead and open that. And this window says, I found the movie, where would you like me to put it? At the session start, at some selection, which would be where the playhead is, or some spot. So we'll choose session start. You notice I did check the import audio from the file box. If there were audio in the movie, it would show up here in the clip bin. There happens to be no audio in this movie. Pro Tools didn't tell me that. It just said, if I find some, would you like me to import it? So I get a movie viewer window, and then I get a track that holds my movie. Depending on your zoom level, you'll see one or more poster frames for this movie. So I'm going to zoom in, and then all of a sudden I see more poster frames for the movie. A word of caution here, if you think that this particular graphic is at this mark, or the center of this block, or the end, or exactly right here, be cautious on that. The way to know is to actually watch the movie in the viewer, not to refer to these blocks up here for reference for time. So we'll see that in a little bit. You do have a choice of frames or blocks. Blocks gives you absolutely no help at all. Frames doesn't help you much more. There is one handy feature that occurred in Pro Tools 11, and that's using this I/O, we can see the resolution and the frame rate of the movie. And then we can choose 3 different levels of quality for how Pro Tools plays back the movie in our session. I usually use best performance. I get results there, but if you insist on having full quality, then there's your choice. If the movie stutters and you're not getting smooth playback, go to Setup and Preferences, and in the Operation tab, in the lower right-hand corner, you can enable your graphics processing unit or actually disable it and send the video to your CPU, your main processor. And that might help if your graphics card isn't quite as robust as your CPU. Let me cancel out of that. One more sort of potential gotcha here is in the playback engine, the video engine needs to be enabled in order for Pro Tools to be able to process this movie. This video engine ties up a lot of memory. To prove my point, I'll jump over to the activity monitor. And you can see that the Avid Video Engine ties up a bit more than twice as much memory as the Pro Tools app itself. If you never ever need to bring video into Pro Tools, then uncheck the video engine. There's no point in tying all that memory up doing something you don't need. All right, so I'll close this. This movie viewer is a floater, like the transport, the counter, and other windows we've seen. And so if I switch to the mix window using my Command equals, Control equals on a PC, then it's still there as a floater. So wherever you lay it, that's where it will appear on the next page if you switch to it. Once you find a configuration or a layout that you like, remember in the window menu, you can save configurations so that the viewer will always be over here, over there, wherever you like it to be. Now, one last thing to show you here. I'm going to save this, just a regular save, not a save as, not a save copy in, and I put it on the desktop. So let's take a look at it. There's the session information. And you might expect that the video files would contain the movie that I just imported, but it's not there. There is no movie in this session yet. Jumping back to Pro Tools, the way to save it in the session is Save Copy In, and then be sure that you check the Movie Video Files button. If you don't do that, Pro Tools will remember where the movie is and go find it each time, but it won't actually be part of your session until you do this step in saving your session. Okay, now we're set up for scoring, and we'll do that in the next movie.